History is full of rich connections to God and the great outdoors He created for us. I'm on a mission to fellowship with other fathers as we introduce our sons and daughters to the beauty and bounty of the world where we are blessed to walk with our Heavenly Father in His garden. My name is Jacob Whitley, and this is Fathers and the Great Outdoors. This episode is brought to you by greatoutdoorspodcast.com, where you can find a lot of fun merch, including custom-designed Christian-based apparel, the Genesis 27:3, Take Your Quiver and Your Bow and Go Hunt Me Some Venison, or He Leads Me Beside Still Waters, He Restores My Soul. It's a nice little fishing shirt. Be sure to check out greatoutdoorspodcast.com today. Welcome to Fathers in the Great Outdoors. Today we have Brant Knotts. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing good. So why don't you jump into it with how you personally got started in the great outdoors?
Well, I got started. Well, I really can't remember when I got started, but I do remember some of my first memories was hunting with my father and some family members, and fishing also. That's probably some of my first memories I have just as a child. And,
Yeah.
that would be how I got started, I reckon. So deer hunting and bluegill fishing. So
Yeah. So it was mostly your father that got you into it?
yes, sir.
What was he doing prior to having kids?
Just farming. We farmed our whole lives. That's all I can remember as a child. And we farmed, we hunted, we fished, and that's all I really do remember from my childhood. So
Yeah. How long did he continue to do that for?
he's still doing it today. So,
Oh, really?
yes, sir.
What does he farm?
Corn, soybeans, a little bit of wheat, but row crop farmer. He's
Okay.
from Ohio.
It's still up there?
Yes, sir.
Very cool. Are your kids involved with that at all?
We do livestock, a little different than what my dad did, but I took a liking to livestock and he likes row crop. So a little different, but I guess I feel like there's a little bit more involved. Well, can't say there's more involvement in one or the other, but a little bit more hands-on with the livestock versus the row crop, and that's just kind of how we went. And I can do it on small acreage, so
Right. So was your experience in the great outdoors pretty consistent into your adulthood?
I'd say so. I think I was once I got into the outdoors, I guess at a young age, and I got to a point where I could go and hunt on my own, um, without supervision. Basically, when I got in my teenage years, from then on, it's just been a passion of mine. Deer hunting, turkey hunting, duck hunting, whatever. Um, I've been extremely involved with it from then on out. So something we do. It's something how we use it for nourishment of our family, I guess, for lack of better words.
Right.
And we look at the blessings we get each and every time we get to be in the outdoors and as a family, and just what nature provides. And that's kind of how I've looked at it since I was young and still do today. So
Yeah. Do you think your kids appreciate it in that way?
Absolutely. I know that my son's 7 years old. This is his actual first year he hunted as himself, like as a youth. And he partook in duck hunting. He's fished since he was probably about 3 years old, maybe 3, 4 years old. But he's started duck hunting this year. He took his first ducks this year. I think he harvested 9 ducks, and each and every time that he harvested a duck, it I don't know, it kind of cracks me up a little bit, but not so much because we taught him that. He wants to stop and thank the Lord each and every time for the blessing that he's provided. And he always says, if he blessed me with just one more, I'd just be so excited. But I think that's important. It's important to teach them that and just the blessings we get to have each and every day. So
That's awesome. So I take it then your kids are big in their faith?
absolutely. Yeah. They both go to a private Christian school. We're fortunate enough to send them to a school like that. And yeah, they're pretty deep in their faith. So
Yeah. Do you, in situations, I guess any of those sounds like your big three are duck, deer, and turkey. If you're ever in a blind for one of those with one of your kids, do they open up at all about faith or even just things they're struggling with?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my kids are really young, 7 and 4, but they do. I feel like they do. I mean, I feel like I can be out there struggling myself and say, I can get upset I missed a duck or they do or whatever. And they'll just be like, it wasn't meant to me, Daddy, but if we're just faithful, God will bless us with something. If it's meant to be, it'll be, basically. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And I find peace in that. And I find, I don't know, just reassurance, or just it's sombering to hear them say that, like, don't get worked up, things are going to be all right. It won't meant to be this time, but God will bless us with something if it's meant to be. So, and I just think it's important. And it's like I tell them, if we don't get a duck, guess what, we go out here and we sit out here and we get to see God's true beauty of what he created every day. I mean, that's what's important to me. um, and I think that I kind of feed off that through them, and they get that through their school too, obviously. But
Yeah.
um, I it's kind of sombering to me that I can hear them say it back to me at such a young age, and they're just taking in stride what they're learning. So it's
When you,
important to me.
right. When do you think you first started noticing their acknowledgement of faith?
Um, well, my son a little bit younger than my daughter, um, probably probably 3 4 years old, when they'd really start talking about God will bless us with this, or pray about that, or it's when they started kind of picking up on it and running with it.
Yeah. It's amazing how young they can be and comprehend some things like that.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it helps too that they're being molded. Their imaginations are a little broader than an adult.
Yeah, no, I definitely think so. And I guess I would be guilty of saying that I've walked the straight and narrow my whole life, because I definitely haven't.
Sure.
Like you just said, it's their imagination is a little broader, and I think that's important. I mean, they're learning quicker than I did. I didn't have the same upbringing they did as far as religious beliefs and background, all that. So
Yeah.
um, my
When did you,
wife was a big part of mine.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
when you started believing?
Yes, sir. Well, I mean, I've always believed my whole life, but I wasn't saved and come to Christ, whatever, until I got with my wife, which was about 9 years ago now. So
Okay.
that's when I became stronger to faith and following the Lord and all that. So
Right. Was there anything specific to that or just kind of going to church with her and things like that?
um, I don't I don't know if there was or wasn't something that I can really say stuck out to me, but I know it was important to her, and I know the deeper I got in the book and the deeper I got in the Word, the more and more things hit me, and the more I realized, like, there's something here.
Hmm.
There's something I need to believe in. There's something I need to follow. We're not just put here for no reason. So that's what stuck out to me, and that's what drew me to it.
Right. How's your father's faith, if you don't mind my asking?
Um, I, that's a tough question. I know 100% he's a believer. His parents were good believers. I can't say it's a strong faith. Um, they went to, well, I can't say they really went to church. I think they attended church occasionally, but
Hmm.
they're more along the belief of, stay faithful, stay humble, have a good heart, whatever, you're going to be all right, versus true meanings of following Christ.
Right.
So, um, little different. And I talk to my parents about it often and frequently, but it's kind of one of them. It's not an easy subject to touch on, I guess. So,
Yeah, that makes sense. So going back to your, um, we'll jump into fishing because you said you've been taking your kids fishing a lot. Is there any specific kind of fishing you do with them?
we do. No, I can't say there really is. We're fortunate enough. My wife's family has a river house down here in the eastern part of the state, which ties into the Pamlico. sound. So we can inshore fish, offshore fish. We can be in or out of the sound or out in the open blue waters, you know, within an hour. So um, I particularly like to offshore fish, which would be wahoo, dolphin, you know, sailfish, whatever. If we get lucky and could hook up with a marlin, whatever. But
Hmm.
any kind of fishing like that. We do a lot of drum fishing, trout fishing, flounder fishing. My son, he's still tied up on pond fishing, so every now and then we'll go to the local sports store and buy a little thing of crickets, and we'll go back and pond fish, catch some bass, some crappie, some bluegill, whatever. But no, I'm pretty wide open on the fishing.
Yeah. Is the pond fishing more because it's something he can handle?
I well, yes and no. He can. We've got some reels that he can handle offshore. He's definitely 100% more comfortable in the pond. Um, just I think just because he knows he can reel one in and
Hmm.
catch it, and same way with the drum or trout, a flounder, whatever. Offshore, yeah, you're right. That's a little bit more to him. He's a little bit uncomfortable with reeling in a bigger fish, but like I said, with the duck hunting, we're getting there every day. I mean, the duck hunting didn't come overnight to him either. That took some time getting him convinced that he could take a shot, and he was um, able to harvest an animal, basically take something's life to harvest it for a family. So
Yeah.
that took them talking and time and so on. So
Between the turkey, deer, and duck, is there one that gets you guys more excited, or is it all kind of that's just the next season we're jumping into it?
no, I think 100% for our family duck hunting,
Yeah.
um, and I think that's just something that we do together. And it's surprisingly, like I said, my kids are 7 and 4, and they will wake up at 3:30 or 2:30 or whatever time it is in the morning. And my son hops up just out of bed, just daddy, we're ready to go. Like just so excited, got so much just happiness for the day. Um, I think that's probably the easiest one we have. Second would be fishing. He's just now getting into turkey hunting, but like I said, he's just getting comfortable with his gun too. So
Hmm.
that kind of makes a difference too. He shoots a little 410, and he saw really good success and numbers this year in the ducks, and I think we'll lean that over into turkey hunting. Deer, we don't. I guess we don't deer hunt as much down here. As I'm originally from Ohio, and we have great big deer up there, and I kind of got away from deer hunting when I moved to the south, just
Hmm.
because size of the deer aren't as big, and I'm more of a trophy hunter. Obviously, we use the meat for our family, but um, I think I think we're going to kind of go back more. I think hunting's going to be his thing, and as it is, we'll lean more into it. But
Yeah.
um, I like I said, mainly right now it's offshore fishing and duck hunting. So
Yeah. I get that though. I was talking to I can't remember where the gentleman was. I think it was Alabama maybe. Um, and I was talking about the size of the deer in North Carolina, and it's like you go through all that effort of field dressing and things like that, only to fill half of a shelf in my freezer.
right, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I get it. That's what I talked to my wife about that. Like she came up, she lived up north with us for about 2 years before we moved back down here, and we could harvest a 200-pound doe field dressed. And if I get a 100-pound doe down here field dressed, I'm doing pretty good. So
Hmm.
big difference in deer size, but we're we're gonna work with it. I mean,
Yeah.
if he enjoys it, I'll enjoy it, and we'll do it as a family. So
Yeah. I'm gonna try to hunt a little closer to the mountains this next year too. Hopefully I can get something a little bigger by doing that.
absolutely, yeah. No, I'd love to go out that way and do some hunting. We're on the East Coast, so we have dog hunting and
Yeah.
all the other stuff. And I feel like if it moves, it's a target over here on our side of the state, but that's just part of it. And I understand the heritage and the history of that too, but I'm just not used to that where I'm from.
Right. Well, there's such an overpopulation of does that I think that makes sense to try to take as many of those as you can too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do agree with that. Yep.
So it sounds like for the kids, it's a little young to maybe have bucket list hunts. I don't know if that's ever come up, but what about yourself?
Um, I don't really have a bucket list hunt per se. Um, I guess. if I had to pick one, I'd say I'd absolutely love to go mule deer hunting
Hmm.
one day. And as far as a bucket list bird, I'd have to absolutely say a canvasback. We saw some this year, but they weren't flying and moving where we were hunting. We actually saw them on a preserve, but it was, I mean, that was kind of magical to me just to see some canvasbacks. We don't really get them where we hunt, but those would probably be my two bucket list hunts. And the neat thing about my son is his birthday is actually January the 3rd, so it's right in the middle of duck season, and it's kind of a tough birthday because it's right there near Christmas, and it
Hmm.
kind of flows in together, and he doesn't really get to experience his birthday separate from Christmas and all the presents. So what we do for him is every year we let him pick out a guided hunt, and he gets to pick out where he wants to go. And this year he picked out a guided hunt on the East Coast, and he actually went and harvested some bluebills, and he missed a couple redheads. I get it; he's only 7, but I think that'll be something neat as he grows up. That'll be something that he'll get to appreciate and enjoy as he matures. And I hope that every year we can take him somewhere special and make it mean something to him.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is that something that you kind of budget for year round, or you try to keep to kind of a lower budget when he does pick it?
No, I don't think so. I mean, like he has said something about going to hunt some king eiders and some harlequin ducks, and obviously that's up in Alaska, and we'd be talking thousands of dollars. So it's not something that I'm willing to do right now when he's
Hmm.
7, 8 years old. But as he matures and grows up, I think that's something absolutely that we'll probably budget for. And I kind of want to make it special for him, and I want to keep his interest in it too. And I think with both my kids starting so young into hunting that maybe we'll be able to work through all the species of ducks and geese and do it as a family, and just put some trophies on the wall, and we'll just see how that goes. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think in long term, yeah, we'll have to budget for it. But right now, we can kind of manage them to a local area at least.
maybe a high school graduation.
Absolutely, yeah. Something special as he gets older, but yeah.
Yeah. What's the type of duck that you primarily hunt where you are?
We hunt a lot of divers. We're down, like I said, we're on the East Coast of North Carolina. We get a lot of dabblers too, but we hunt kind of open water, more towards the Sound, the Pamlico Sound, and we get a lot of bluebills, redheads, um, just excuse me, like I said, more divers, some ringnecks, stuff like that. But we do get dabblers. We get some teal. We get pretty good teal,
Hmm.
mallards, so on. But we kind of, I don't really have a specific species we target, but that's, you know, and it's kind of hard too as a family. It's real hard hunting with 2 kids that are under 8 that are hard to hold still, and
Right.
they don't understand that the movement matters, and we can't always have the fire going because it kind of shines in the morning early, on the boat. But we, I guess, I would have to say we target divers, but we don't have a target species just because we kind of take whatever we're blessed with in that regard. So
Right.
I think it's why I stress it to my kids, like, well, we were blessed with this bird today. We may only got one bird, but we were blessed with that just because, you know, through the actions or our movements, whatever, we don't, we're not fortunate very often, I guess. So
Yeah. I'm sure if you had a very successful day, though, not having a specific target would allow for larger daily limits.
absolutely, yeah. And that's just as simple as saying, we'll harvest some ruddy ducks, whatever. I mean, like I said, we're kind of blessed in whatever comes to us in that regard. Just like I said, because I'm not hunting with advanced adults that know how to hold still and stay down, whatever. We get excited when the birds come over, and I let the kids hop up, and it's kind of neat. So
Yeah.
whatever we get, we're blessed with. So
Yeah, absolutely. Being on the east side like that, um, have you ever eaten sea duck?
I no, I have not. That is one duck that my son's saying he wants to harvest this year. He wants to go harvest. some surf scouters and some long-tailed ducks, and it's on our near future for the guided hunts for his birthday.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't had any sea ducks. No.
I've been curious because it looks like a fun hunt, but I've heard a lot of people say that I don't know that they've said the word nasty. They just said they're not good for eating. And I've been curious what specifically that meant because everybody has different taste buds.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people don't think diver ducks are very edible. They're a stronger flavored duck. I
Hmm.
think that their meat's a little stronger. When you harvest one, they're super red in color. You harvest a teal and they're a little lighter pink colored. The meat's not as red or as dark. Um, I think it's all in preparation. We'll
Yeah.
we'll harvest. We 90% of the ducks we eat are diver ducks, which I hate to say it, but a lot of people harvest a duck like that and throw it in the marsh just because they don't want to eat it like a ruddy or whatever. I don't see fit to do that. Like I told my kids and my wife even too, if we harvest it, we're going to eat it. I mean,
Hmm.
that's the point in harvesting an animal. So what we do is we'll bring them home. We'll soak them in salt water for I've done it 2 days up to 7 days, and rotate the water, change the water, whatever. And typically we marinate them in some teriyaki sauce, and I either make poppers with them or I'll um, make grill the breast, whatever. But I can't say that I've had one duck that tastes better than another if you actually prepare it right and take the time
Right.
to put into it. If you try to cook it straight out of the field, I could see where it might be gamier or richer. Some of them ducks are definitely higher in iron like that, but I don't think if you take the time to get the blood out of them and prepare them right, they're definitely good eating. So,
So you primarily, or maybe entirely, it's like separate the pieces. You don't ever cook it whole.
I haven't cooked one whole yet. Um, we have one actually in the freezer that we will cook whole this year.
Hmm.
I haven't yet, but typically I do the breast and the legs. We don't normally mess with the wings just because there's very, very little meat on there.
Hmm.
But we'll typically breast them out and take the legs. And like I said, we have one duck in the freezer that is whole that my son wants to cook. So we'll see how that turns out. I think we're gonna smoke that one. So
Yeah. I do sub. I don't think I've ever done the pieces individually like that with like the breast. It's almost always been a whole duck. Um, Most of those were from the store, so
right.
already brined or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
But for the most part, just because they're so oily, I'll
Yep.
do kind of a cross cut on pretty much the entire thing and roast it for 4 hours, flipping it, and or smoke it, and um, and then just finish it with like a sweet glaze of some kind. And that usually turns out pretty good. Get the skin nice and crispy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest part is if you're gonna leave the skin on it, the skin for me has to be crispy,
Yeah.
you know. But I agree. I think all duck's good with a sweet glaze of some
Hmm.
sort. I think that's why we go with the teriyaki. But
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. That would actually work pretty well as a teriyaki. To finish it. I don't think I've ever done it as like a marinade though. But I'm sure it would work similarly. I would just be I guess if you smoked it, it wouldn't be an issue. But if you roasted it, you'd be concerned about burning it.
right, yeah. Well, I think that's a problem with the grill too. A lot of that sweet sauce burns easy.
Hmm.
Anything you put on them that's got a lot of sugar in it will burn easy. But yeah, I think that's been my main concern with cooking a whole duck would be the fact that cooking it evenly, I
Hmm.
guess, just because their legs are so small and their wings are so small versus the breast in them. That's the big part of the duck. But um, I think that's been my dilemma on that, short
Yeah.
of cooking a whole duck.
You know what you might be able to do. Now that I'm saying this, I'll have to try it next year. Um, I can't remember the exact term. I think it's like spit cock or something like that, where
Yeah.
you split it down the breasts and butterfly it out so it's all
Yep.
flat. That might cook the whole thing evenly if you tried that.
Yeah, I would love to try that. I do a lot of chickens like that every year, and
Yeah.
that's a good idea. I never thought about that. That would be something that I would love to try with the duck.
Actually, I might have said that backwards. I think you cut it down the spine and split it
Right,
at the
and then
breast. Yeah.
split it backwards. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Now I'm hungry.
Right. Yeah.
um, Well, I guess since we're on the topic of food, is there anything unique that you prepare, venison or turkey?
Um, no, I don't think so. I would say that we did a decent bit of venison. Nothing really special. We cook chili, we cook backstraps of steaks,
Hmm.
and um, turkeys. Definitely not anything special there. We eat a lot of jerky from the deer too, but um, no, nothing. I wouldn't say anything special that I could think of that strikes me offhand. Um, I wouldn't mind learning some special recipes, but I don't know any myself. So
Yeah. I think the most unique thing I've ever done with deer is just kind of doing like a bacon wrap smoked backstrap. But yeah, pretty general, basically
yeah, I was
steak
gonna say that's
recipes.
yeah, it's kind of the same with me with the ducks. We do we make a lot of poppers, so jalapenos, cream cheese, layer teriyaki duck on there, and then wrap it with bacon, and
Hmm,
kind of the same deal. But
that sounds good though.
yeah, that's a super tasty appetizer. I've had a lot of people that swear they won't eat a duck or eat wild game, whatever, eat it and say, "Man, that's some of the best meat I've ever had." So it's kind of neat, and that's like I said, taking divers or basically a sea duck, whatever. It's a different kind of a flavor, stronger flavored duck,
Right.
to say the least, and that's what we shoot. So to hear somebody say that about that's pretty interesting to me.
Well, I guess I'll have to try sea duck at least once, do the hunting experience, and then eat what I kill, of course, but see if I can
Absolutely,
prepare it properly.
yeah.
So that would be interesting. For the pond fishing, do you guys ever bring those fish home?
Oh yeah, yeah. My son's my son's pretty big on, and I think that's I have some troubles with him. Flounder season's closed only in September. We can keep a few here and there. Um, Anything we catch, or obviously if we kill it, we're going to eat it. But um, as far as fish, if we ever catch fish, he wants to eat every fish we catch.
Yeah.
So we keep a lot of bluegill, pumpkin seeds, whatever, warmouth, bass, even bass. I mean, whatever we catch, we eat them.
Hmm.
Crappie is just he he's big on it, and I am too. I think I love eating fish out of the pond, but I also like eating the fish we catch offshore. So I guess that would be my little struggle with him is he doesn't understand that there's limits and
Right.
sizes and regulations, whatever. But yeah, anything we catch, we definitely eat them.
My son's first experience of catching a lot of fish, we were sticking it into a cooler with ice on a charter, and afterwards they were filleting the fish, and he's like, "I want to bring these back and put them in a fish tank," and I'm like, "They've been on ice. I'm pretty sure they're mostly dead."
Right?
The only one that
Yeah.
wasn't, he caught I think it was a rockfish, one with the poison barbs.
Hmm.
And he reaches in and grabs it and he's like holding it. I'm like, okay, well, he already has it. So just hold that. Make sure you give it to them to fillet. And it start wiggling, coming back to life. And I'm like, all right, let me have that, buddy.
Right. Yeah. No, that I'd say that's kind of the same for us. Like you said, we catch them, throw them right on ice, whatever. But I don't. I can't say that we have one that we haven't harvested to eat. I guess. We do undersized fish, whatever. But
Yeah.
he's pretty straightforward with if we catch it, we got to eat it. So and I guess out of the gate, yeah, he was kind of like your son. Like we want to keep them, we want to bring them back home, and then we don't have a fish tank in the house, but he does want to keep them. I guess as pets, whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes, but I think that's just part of being little.
Oh, yeah. That's the fun part of
Yeah,
seeing
absolutely.
it through their eyes.
Yep.
Being over by where you are, do you have, I imagine in the ocean proper, but do you have any areas that you're able to keep striper? Because I know there's like, I want to say like on the rivers there or something, you're not allowed to keep them.
Yeah. And I cannot for the life of me think of the river. It's just to the north of us, and they get a lot of rock up there. Um, you can keep them up there, but we can't keep them down here where we're at. It's all catch and release down here, where I fish. If you go just north, you can keep them. And like I said, It's on the tip of my tongue, but I cannot think of the river where it's at right now.
Is it part of Virginia by chance?
No, it's shy of Virginia. Um,
Hmm.
let
I
me
wonder
look
why
real
there's
quick.
an exception there.
Um, Shoot, I cannot think of the river. I will look. I If I can think of it, I'll tell you. It'll probably hit me about mid conversation on something else, but
Yeah.
it's not far from us at all. Um, it's off the Roanoke River, and I cannot remember um, what town it is. They catch a ton of rock up there. There's still a good rock population around here.
Hmm.
You just can't keep them. And we're seeing better and better size all the time.
Yeah. Is where you are, do you ever do those I guess you would just call it float fit or float downs, float fishing, something like that, where you kind of camp all the way to the ocean while you fish?
I think you could. I haven't. Um, I don't know if there's any places around that you can. I'm sure there are. I've never done it, but we typically, like I said, we just go out on the weekend, fish up and down the river, whatever, through the sound all the way to the ocean, basically. Um, but I've never done a float trip or anything like they would. I would say that would be to me more what I would assume would be towards the mountain and trout fishing, But I've never done anything like that
Yeah.
around here.
I've heard there was at least one other interview I did where he talked about it. Unfortunately, it didn't end well because I guess there's some kind of bacteria in brackish water.
Mm.
Um, and the fin of one of the fish his dad caught had it on it, and ended up taking his life, unfortunately. Um,
Dang.
so while that whole process sounds fun, I've been like, I don't know if I want to go through that
Yeah.
or at least not swim in that.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah. No, I hadn't heard of that.
um, what about camping with your kids?
They're getting more and more into it. We don't do much camping. I'd love to. I've always liked to camp ever since I was little. I love being outside and having a campfire and just staring up into the night and seeing nothing but the stars.
Hmm.
We haven't done much of it yet. My wife's not a big out. She's into fishing. She's into hunting. She's not a big outdoors person as far as like roughing it. You know what I mean? So she might be good with a camper trip or something like that. But I'd love to get a tent and just go back in the back 40 and hang out, light a fire, and just rough it for a night, cook over the fire and all that. We haven't done much of it. We will have a bonfire or something in the yard and cook marshmallows or hot dogs, whatever. Look up at the stars and all that, but not camping yet. So
Yeah,
something I definitely look forward to with them.
that actually sounds like a lot of fun. Maybe I'll have to plan something like that in my backyard.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just go out there and burn the brush off your yard, and it may only burn for 30 minutes, but it's enjoyable. Cook
Yeah,
a couple hot dogs and a marshmallow, and just look at the stars, and just I guess what I do is just be thankful for what we have and the days we're given.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
enjoyable.
Is there a time of year that you think is best for something like that?
To me, I would have to say cooler days. So obviously spring, late spring, heading into summer, or fall. I mean, it's just something that's always been a great time for me to go light a fire and just sit out there and relax in a cool, crisp evening.
Yeah,
It's kind of like a reset for your system, just for me. But I couldn't really say that it's not good to do it in the summer or whatever. But it's when it's cold, there's just something more to it. I guess it's like I said, it's kind of a reset for your system, and you're feeling the warmth of the fire and just I mean, you're alone basically with just the stars and what's above you. So
yeah.
it's just kind of a reset to me.
Do bugs bother your kids?
Um, I don't really think so. Not, I can't say that I've really noticed it. I will say one time we went out of Swan Quarter one morning early. Um, it was late August, early September, and the mosquitoes down there must be about the size of buzzards.
Hmm.
And when I looked down one time, they were wrapped up in them, and so was I. And I didn't really think much of it till we got offshore that day. And about noon, the welt started knotting up about the size of quarters, and I was like, good Lord, we got ate up. You know what I mean? So yeah, the bugs do, but I think if you have a fire or something, that's a little different. We were sitting on a boat riding offshore, but um, I don't think that I've really noticed the bugs around the fire too much. So
Yeah. Unless they're flying straight toward it and you hear them explode.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, they got a destination in mind. So
Yeah. That's always pretty funny.
right.
Um, so with your I can't remember if you mentioned is your mom still with us as well?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yep.
So I assume you visit them up there. Is there any outdoor activities that you and your kids get involved with in Ohio?
We definitely 100% go up there shed hunting. Um, I love to shed hunt in the sheds you find up there. Just you never know what you're going to find. I mean, you might find anything from a little just cow horn all the way up to half of a shed that would have been a 200-inch deer.
Hmm.
Um, we like to shed hunt. We like to mushroom hunt. We get morel mushrooms up there. Um, kind of just anything I did when I was little, fishing, so on and so forth. But if we get the chance, we absolutely like to deer hunt up there. We haven't got to do that much. Like I said, mainly just depending on when we're up there. It's pretty much been shed hunting, but a little bit of mushroom hunting and fishing. So
Is that specifically on your dad's property?
yeah, yep, yeah. He owns I don't know how many acres he does own, but he helps a guy farm that farms like 8,000 acres. So
Oh
we
wow.
kind of got free reign over all that ground too. So we've been blessed in that regard that we have a plenty. We can walk more in a day than we could walk in a life. I mean, it's
Yeah,
if you're getting right down and searching, you got all the ground in the world at hand.
that's a blessing right there.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but where would you say you see God in the great outdoors?
My biggest thing, and we kind of talked about this on church. I've been doing a Bible study at church over the last few weeks, and it's just been about walking closer with Jesus. And I think my biggest thing is sitting out over the water. It doesn't matter if you're going fishing or if I'm going hunting or whatever. When you see the sunrise come up over the water, whether it's over the decoys or you're going out through the breakers and you're heading out offshore, and just the true beauty of what's been painted and given to you every day. Um, and it's just a true blessing, and to hear my kids say, Daddy, look how pretty that is out there this morning. Look at the sun coming up over the decoys. God painted that. Like that kind of hits home to me. And I try to take that in every time we go out and just use it for learning with the kids and just time to be thankful and just sit there and relax and just like they said, look out at the beauty of it and just take it in, try to take it in because it's hard to take that in. I mean,
Hmm.
it's a true gift every day we get to just experience that. So
Yeah, it's hard to slow down in today's society. Being able
absolutely.
to, yeah, just being able to pause and reflect is it's more powerful than you can imagine. Um,
Yeah,
but when you take that time, it's worth it.
absolutely. And I think too, like I said, my kids don't have any problem getting up at 2:30, 3:30, 4:30 in the morning when they may get a little cranky right before the sun comes up, but when the sun comes up and it hits them, it's just like, kind of like how it hits us. It just hits your soul.
Hmm.
It's just something that you can't put into words, but they even try to express like, look at the true beauty that we're given every day. I mean, that's hard to put words in and to describe. So,
Yeah, there's a I can't remember it off the top of my head. I think it's in John. There's a verse about how Jesus specifically woke up before everybody else and the sun to go pray.
yep,
It's like that signifying the importance of that kind of routine.
absolutely. And I think it is, and that is another thing which I hadn't said or whatever, but That's another thing that I try to incorporate into our hunts or fishing or whatever. Um, Obviously, we hunt off of a boat every time we duck hunt. We don't hunt on land. We take a boat ride out and we hunt off the boat while we're out there. Same thing when we go fishing. We're on the boat all day, and I think it's important to every morning before we leave, we'll stop, we'll say a prayer for safety and for God to watch over us and to take care of us. And I think it's important, like I said, when you start incorporating things into your hunt and praying for safety and for success, whatever. But I think that hits the kids too, and just like you said, like Jesus, you wake up that morning and you pray over what you're about to partake in. I think it's pretty important.
Yeah. The first couple of times that they had to wake up early, what was that experience like?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know if I've been blessed with like kids that just like to get up early. Their day to day is normally 5:30 when they wake up. So
Mm.
um, they my daughter is a little bit. She can get a little crabby in the morning. We'll carry to the truck in her pajamas, and when we get to where we're going, we'll get her dressed. And she's fine by she gets a snack in her about 6:30 when the sun's coming up. She's fine. But my son, boy, he wakes up and he's ready to go. I mean, as soon as I'll walk in his room and I'll lay my hand on his shoulder and I'll say, "Hey, buddy, it's time to get up. Dad, we're going duck hunting today." He is fired up, big smile on his face. Um, they both want to get out there. They just kind of express it differently. You know what I mean? And once they're out there, they have the time of their life. But it's he is no problem at all. She's not a problem either. Once you get her moving, so it hadn't been any kind of to issues at all to get them going.
Yeah. Do you think that if I guess it's just a hypothetical, if they had to do it themselves, that they would still do it, or do you think it has more to do with spending time with dad?
I 1,000% know that my son would, no doubt about it. He's absolutely ate up with it. That's all he talks about is hunting and fishing. Um, he wakes me up all the time trying to get me to go, even on the weekends. He wants to either go scouting or go hunting or we went trout fishing during duck season in one of the split weeks. And he said, "Let's go trout fishing, Dad. We catch some fish, plus we can see where the birds are." So we kind
Hmm.
of dual purposes. I didn't tell him about that, so he was into scouting and looking. And so I think he's picking up on things. My daughter, she loves fishing. She loves duck hunting. She's not involved yet. She's got a BB gun. She didn't shoot a gun yet, other than her BB gun.
Hmm.
But so she's just kind of along for the ride. She does love fishing though, and I don't know. I don't think that they do it for me. I think just because we do it as a family, it's kind of the same way I was. It's what we know, what we do. Um, I think that they'd be involved in it and absolutely into it, whether I did it or not. At this point now, did I instill that into them? Probably, but I don't think that they do it just to spend time with me because we can spend time here. We have a small farm where I live. We have some livestock, and they like to mess with that too. Um, and I think, and it's like I told both of them, if y'all want to ride dirt bikes or you want to ride four wheelers or anything you want to do, I'll back you 100%. If you want to play sports, whatever. But they've kind of chose the outdoors, and I think I don't really know why. It's short of the fact, like we talked about earlier, it's just kind of a blessing to be involved in just nature's true beauty every day and what God has blessed us with, and to get out in that versus, well, like I said, they could choose livestock or sports, whatever, but that's kind of their passion right now. So, and like I said, I'll back them no matter where they go. But um, I've kind of liked the path they've chosen. Um, so I guess we'll kind of see where it goes. But
Hmm. How is their patience?
mm, they're pretty good, and I say that because my son, like I said, this year he turned 7, and for his 7th birthday, like I said, every year we told him just because his birthday kind of falls on a goofy date that to make it special, we'll take him on a guided hunt. Um, we went on a guided hunt this year. We got out there. at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we hunted till 5 o'clock that afternoon. And I don't think that he asked me but one time. He said, "Dad, it's kind of slow. Do you think I could look at the DU app on your phone?" He likes to identify birds and know what's flying, all this and that and the other. And I try to keep phones and tablets and games. I mean, they're kind of young. I don't want to spoil them yet. You know what I mean? Um, and he asked me one time, and I said, "Yeah, you can look at it." But I said, "Buddy, if we see some birds now, you got to be ready to shoot." And he said, "I will, Dad, I will." And I think in those 12 hours, he only asked to be on something for 10 minutes, just to kind of pacify his time. So my daughter, she's only 4. Um, but she goes out there, and as long as I got a heater in the boat, I got a little propane heater, and if I kick that on and I got her favorite cereal, she'll sit right there and hunt with us just like anybody would that was been out there doing it for 20 years. I mean, she's just excited. She likes to, if she sees birds, sometimes she'll call out seagulls. So she'll say, "Dad, look, there's ducks, ducks, ducks." It'll be a group of seagulls. But they're really intent with it. They're really excited, and I don't think they get bored with it at all, really. Um, I really don't. Like I said, and that's where I say if they pick up another interest or want to do something different, we can do that. But they're just so into hunting and fishing right now that that's kind of what we're focusing on. So
Hmm. Do you think have they both been or is your son been in a deer stand?
um we've been in a deer blind together, and we've also sat in some like hedgerows or whatever, just sitting on the ground together.
Yeah.
And he's I would say he's equally as patient. He is 100%. I don't know. I know his hearing's good and everything, but he is not good at whispering. I don't know that he knows how to whisper. So we'll sit in a fence and, "Hey, Dad, look, there's a deer behind us." Like, "Yeah, buddy, it's 5 feet behind us, but it's gone now." But um, he's good. His patients are good. We definitely need to work on his like short voice or whispering voice, whatever. But
Hmm.
we don't really hunt stands. Like I said, we hunt on the ground. We put up pop-up blinds, and we kind of bounce around. We have some family farms down here, so
Yeah.
it's kind of our best way to hunt those.
It sounds like you have the space for it too.
Absolutely, yeah. And again, we're blessed with that. My wife's family probably has 1,200 acres of farm ground, so we can kind of bounce around to different farms and wooded lots and stuff like that. So
That's very cool. Great experience for them to grow up in.
absolutely.
Um, is there any, I don't know if you have any social medias that you run for posting pictures like for any of this or anything like that?
I don't have anything on Instagram that I posted yet. Me and my wife are actually kind of kicking around the idea of making some t-shirts with some pictures that we have from our hunts with our kids. And we're kind of, like I told her, I'd really like to reach a broader spectrum, like on a faith-based
Hmm.
uh orientation. And she put together some t-shirts, and we got a little name for them. And I think we're going to put some verses with some pictures, and not so much to make money, but just get the word out,
Yeah.
try to touch some folks, and try to get some response to some pictures. So we'll see as that turns out to something. I definitely like to share that, but
Yeah.
we don't have anything set up yet. It's very, very immature and in the works right now. So
I have on the website, the great outdoors podcast.com. One of the shirts I have for sale on there is just some big letters, "Ask me about Jesus." And I'm curious if this picks up and those start to sell, if that will um, help people start conversations.
absolutely. And I think that's um I work a different kind of a job. I build fence for a living, and
Hmm.
I work with some younger guys that I can't they're not they're not unfamiliar with the Bible or Jesus or whatever, but they're not followers, and I showed them some pictures of some shirts we made, and the messages on the back and this, that, and the other. And it really touched me that they were like, you know what, I would buy that and I would wear that. And I thought, well, you know, maybe I can touch some people. Maybe I can move some people towards Christ and make a difference, you know. And I think that's big in today's world because everything seems like it's getting so far out of reach. But
Yeah.
I'm with you. Like, I'm not doing it to make a living. I'm not doing it for this or that. But I feel like I've almost been called to put a message out there, and I'd like to be a voice of something of that nature. So
Yeah, that makes sense. I remember several years ago, I was having a kind of a hard time, and I pulled in behind someone on the freeway who had like one of those plastic plaques that surrounds a license plate, and it said it either said no worries or don't worry, God's got it covered.
yeah,
And it just was like a moment I needed to see that. So I ended up finding one online to put on the back of my car because I thought if I needed that, someone else is probably going to need that at some point.
absolutely.
So I've had that on there ever since. I actually put one together for the website as well, just to make it more available.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that's kind of what we're doing. Like I said, it spoke volumes to me. You know, I work with some people that language isn't like, we don't think about what we say and we don't think about what we do or actions. And I'm just like, but when I showed them that, they were like, yeah, I would absolutely wear that. And you could tell that like it hit them a little bit, you know. And I said, man, if I could put that message out there, like that's important, you know. And like you said, I've been in a bad place or been in town or somewhere, and I've seen a T-shirt or, like you said, a bumper sticker or the plaque around a license plate, where that's all you needed to see that day was just to pick your spirit back up or to get you back on track, whatever.
Right.
But it's important to get that out there, you know. And I think that's what we're going to try to do. Like I said, we're not trying to do anything with it, but if anything, nonetheless, I'd like to just get the message out there. Just tweak somebody's interest to look into something, you know, and spark a fire in somebody. So
Right. Yeah. Do you remember what the verse was on that shirt?
I don't. I've got several. We actually have made about 4 different shirts. We've got one that is Romans 10:13. For whoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. And then we've got another one that is Psalms 113:3. From the rising of the sun to the place where it sets, the name of the Lord is to be praised. And like I said, we've got several, so I could keep going. But different backgrounds, and it's actual pictures. You know, one of them's a picture of me picking up decoys in the sunset, and one of them's a picture of our 2 kids out blowing duck calls, and another one's our dog's head poking out of a blind, and just really neat natural backgrounds, and then just a simple small verse that might speak to somebody, you know. I think that's what's important. So
Very cool. Psalms has a lot of good ones. I think I have at least 2 shirts from there.
yeah.
All right. Well, that was pretty much all the questions I had. Was there anything you were
Okay.
hoping to talk about?
No, I think we kind of covered everything I thought we would. Like I said, if I don't know if you want to do it again, let me know. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm open all the time, and as we have more adventures and get the kids out there more, I'd be more than willing to talk again, and maybe we can talk again and see how our T-shirt thing's going. So
Yeah, there you go.
just anything, you know.
Yeah, just if you have specific stories you wanted to go over adventure wise, write down the topic so I know what to ask about, and we'll do this again.
Absolutely. We can definitely do that.
Very cool. All right. Thank you for tuning in on greatoutdoorspodcast.com. And if you happen to be listening or watching on one of our social media platforms, you should check out greatoutdoorspodcast.com for some cool merch like this hat or this awesome coffee cup for camping. And this awesome sweater as well, which features our classic Genesis 27:3. Take your quiver and your bow and go hunt me some venison. Your wife's gonna love the way you look in this. Right, honey?
Uh-huh.
greatoutdoorspodcast.com.
Why?